What's up, pups? How you guys doing? I'm doing great, thanks for asking. Every time. Like, this is like the intro to my videos every time now. Just has Luna running up to the camera and saying hello. So today's video is a bit more serious. I'm sure by the title you can guess what this is about. Dealing with sexual harassment. There's been a lot of things coming out within the last couple of days of more people on YouTube who are participating in not so good things with other people. In lieu of some things that have been occurring on the internet, I feel like it's important to bring up this topic. It's not something that we should ever sweep under the rug. It's important, and we should always remember that sexual harassment is a thing that a lot of people deal with on the daily. So a couple instances that come straight to mind for me. When Ian and I were about 6 months into our relationship, we traveled to Chicago for a thing called Rib Fest and to visit his friends. And we landed and immediately went to downtown Chicago so that I could see the Bean and some of the cool buildings and the lake because I had never been before. So on our walk to the Bean, we passed a man who was either homeless or just really enjoyed sitting next to a building looking grimy. And he started yelling at me while I was walking. Mind you, I was holding Ian's hand, so I'm clearly with another male counterpart individual, and the guy just wouldn't stop making comments about how beautiful I was and how I should come over to him and take a seat. And as I walk by, he starts making comments about my body, specifically my butt and what he would like to do to me. And I remember Ian squeezing my hand tighter, and he said, "Just ignore it." And I was like, "Are you not gonna say anything?" And he goes, "Well, we don't know if he could kill us." And at first I thought he was joking, but then I realized he was serious. Like, that is the thing that my boyfriend said to me. And the fact that it didn't bother my boyfriend as much as it bothered me made me even more irritated. I wanted to say something, but like as soon as Ian said those words to me, I immediately was overcome with fear. And I just didn't say anything, and I kept walking, and that sucked. Another time when I went to a mall that's very close to my house, and I was by myself just doing some leisurely shopping, and I was walking to my car because I was done shopping for the day, and a male dude came over to me and started talking to me. He was like, "Hey, what's your name? You're pretty." And I'm like, okay, thanks. And I just kept walking. He's like, "You're not gonna tell me your name?" I'm like, "No, it's okay." He's like, "What do you mean it's okay? Just tell me your name." I'm like, "I don't think it matters." He's keeping pace with me, and I'm clearly trying to get away from him. And he just keeps asking me questions. So finally he asks me, "Do you have a boyfriend or something?" And I'm like, "Yeah, actually I'm married," which I'm not married, but it's really sad that I have to resort to like making it seem like I'm even more taken to get him to go away. And he says to me, "Well, that's okay. I can just be your side guy." No, sir. Any respectable human being would have said, "Oh, my apologies, have a great day," and walk away. But this guy just wouldn't stop. So he continued to follow me, continued to make comments about my appearance, and he's literally walking right next to me, like right next to me. And so I just kept ignoring him, and we get to the point where we are about to leave the mall. Mind you, it is dark outside, and I don't want this dude following me to my car, and that's what it was coming to. So I started to slow down a little bit as we were passing the food court, which is right near the exit, and I think he finally realized that I just wasn't going to give him any time to speak to me, so he says, "Well, it was nice to meet you," and walks away. And I was so thankful, but I literally sat in the food court for at least 10 minutes to make sure that he didn't follow me outside to find out what car was mine and try to make a move in some way. And I hate that this is a norm for me, and I don't think people realize that women go through this on the daily. And yes, it occurs for men too. I'm not saying that men do not get sexually harassed, but for the most part, the majority of the harassment is occurring towards women. And it's something that we deal with on the daily. It's something that we're usually so afraid to address because we feel like we'll be attacked for having an opinion, for having a fear, for having to act a certain way in a situation because we don't want to get hurt. And there's always that one argument that some people like to use in regards to sexual harassment when they are trying to either intentionally or unintentionally justify the harassment. Shouldn't you be grateful? Shouldn't you be grateful for the attention? It's a compliment. Get over it. You're a pretty girl. in a way, that's also harassment. Doesn't it just feel so good to have so many people interrupting your day to tell you how beautiful you are and show interest in you? Wouldn't anyone just love to be showered with compliments at completely unexpected moments? But of course the answer is no. People are entitled to not wanting to hear compliments all the time. People are entitled to just want to do their shopping without experiencing anyone speaking to them. Just because someone gives me a compliment doesn't mean that it was warranted and I have to thank them or be happy that I received a compliment. I keep using quotes because compliment, sexual harassment, same thing in this circumstance. And the majority of the compliments that I receive aren't meant to be kind. They're meant to be corrosive. A lot of men go through life feeling invisible. And this is partially due to the fact that there's like a toxic male masculinity issue, and also because men just don't typically engage other men on the street. So when your ears, as a woman, are full of compliments that sound more like threats, every advance becomes just background noise. Every encounter we view as a potentially dangerous or uncomfortable situation. And we're just told to ignore sexual harassment unless it's from a nice guy. We are expected to know the difference immediately and react accordingly. And yet again, it's men who are telling us the best way to handle these situations. When in fact, it is we, the victims of sexual harassment, who know best. In my life, it has become abundantly clear that there was nothing that I can do to end the constant barrage of unwanted conversation and touching and sexualization of my body. There's nothing that I can do to stop giving tiny pieces of myself to men on the street who want to stop me and take some of my valuable time just to try to give me a compliment. Because ultimately, there's nothing that I can do to stop that demand. That's not on me. And sexual harassment for me is not a question of if it will happen. It's a question of when and how often. Respond politely, engage conversation, or ignore completely. These are literally the three options that I have when encountering sexual harassment. And it's a tedious process because ultimately I'm not being a kind person because I'm engaging conversation or smiling at you. I'm doing it to avoid further confrontation. And while most men are very quick to remind us that not all men harass women, I try to be quicker in reminding them that all women, really all women, have experienced this at least once in their lifetime, if not many, many, many occasions. As many times as someone has touched us, yelled at us, hit on us, hit us, raped us, threatened us, stalked us, spat on us, propositioned us, we've also been told just to ignore it. The truth is, we don't have the luxury of ignoring harassment. We engage and we're kind because that's what ultimately keeps us safe. So now it's time for everyone to engage. Recognize that sexual harassment is a thing. It's not going away unless we actively do something to change it. I, for one, am tired of ignoring or being kind to someone simply because I'm afraid that they'll hurt me if I do otherwise. Anyway, you guys, what do you think? Continue the conversation down below in the comments. If this is the first video that you're seeing of mine, hi, I'm Kayleigh. You should subscribe by hitting that red button right down below and we can become best friends forever. Links to my Twitter, Tumblr, Facebook, and Instagram are also down below. I'll see you guys in a few days with another video. Peace out, Trouts.